Welcome to episode 6 of Night Bass Energy. I'm AC Slater alongside Sinden. On this episode, we have the one and only Jay Robinson. He's an extremely prolific DJ producer from Wales who's managed to knock out 10 EPs for Night Bass Records. Yes, 10 EPs, as well as countless releases on other respected record labels, including most notably Mousetrap. He's recently released a collaboration with Idris Elba. This man keeps the heat coming. We dove deep with Jay into his extremely unique past to find out how a shy person from a small town in Wales found his way into clubs around the world and his music into the sets of superstar DJs. Please enjoy Night Bass Energy with our good friend, Jay Robinson.
Night Bass!
Welcome to Night Bass Energy. Jay Robinson is in the building.
Hello.
Just cut to the chase.
What up, Jay?
Fucking intro. So you just, we collared you off the back of a few DJ dates over here, and we're so happy to have you in the studio, man. It's been a while. When we were drawing up this podcast, you were on the hit list, and it's so good that you were over and you're doing this. I appreciate it, man.
Still can't believe I'm here myself. I
Why'd
still
you-
can't
why'd
believe
you
I'm
say
sitting
that?
in a room with you two. Honestly, it's madness.
Yeah?
Yeah, madness. It's still mad to me.
Why is that mad to you?
Well, because both of you were big influences on me when I really started finding, basically like bass house music, if you want to call it that. And like obviously with both of you, Fidget House was kind of where I found my want to start making music, was when I heard Fidget House. Before that, it was kind of, I love DJing and I love music, but it was never like an obsessive thing where I had to start making it. And then I think once I started hearing, it was like you guys, Josh, Harvey, Hervé, obviously Switch. I think everyone you've ever had probably said that about Switch.
Yeah.
It was all of you, like Hijack and people like that. Really
Hijack, man.
unreal.
Yes.
Still unreal.
Yo, if you listen to Hijack tunes now, they're like still
Really good.
banging.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Super
dig
well
some
mixed
up.
as well.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah,
I think, is it Possessed? Still play Possessed. It's a good tune, that is.
banger. Well, I mean, I was aware of you from like 2010. I was playing your tunes.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, and then I put out some of your music and like on my old label,
yeah.
Party Like Us. So
Yeah.
maybe 2013 or 14, and since then, Night
God,
Bass.
yeah, that's a long time ago.
How crazy is that? Yeah, I was thinking about it recently. I think all that older stuff from that era of yours like still holds up, and
Thank you.
it sounds like you. So.
I don't feel like it holds up.
I really do. I really feel like that. But
I get this really like, going back and listening to your old stuff. God, some of it makes me cringe. There was a long time where I made stuff and I don't really know why I was doing it. Like doing dubstep and stuff. Because at the time
We've
I was
all
like,
been
ooh,
there.
dubstep was new. Let's all make bass lines.
I think that's. I think everyone can relate to that, especially if you've had some longevity in this field. You kind of, there is a time as kind of this crossing point, if you like, where you decide, do I continue with this or do I depart and maybe pick something else up? And it's like I think everyone can just knows what that's like,
See, the thing for me was like, I kind of went from starting off making like fidgety stuff, like really obnoxious fidget stuff. And then I kind of went into making more big room stuff. I wouldn't say it was quite EDM, but it was like more big room. And I think it was around the time that I kind of like rediscovered this stuff, like especially that Party Like Us was releasing, that was more almost like, it almost to me bridged the gap between the more subdued stuff and garage and heavy fidget stuff. It kind of like brought all that together. Mm-hmm. And I think once I heard all that, I knew that was probably going to be the thing that I stuck with largely, because it was a good mix of all the things that got me into music, that got me into production. Mm-hmm. And like I always think like now where we're at, I find is quite similar to the stuff that obviously you guys were all making back then. And obviously, like, Jesse Rose, you remember A-Sided?
A-Sided was awesome.
Unreal song, yeah. I find
So
the
good.
stuff now is kind of shifting. It's not dissimilar from all that.
Right.
The bassy house, not the super heavy stuff, but like, I definitely feel like there's a current of that in what's going on now. Probably most people don't realise it because, most people that are into this scene now are really young compared to us.
yeah.
So they
It's just
haven't
like
heard
a reiteration of that sound.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
modernized.
feel like. It's a progression of it, and especially like even now, still like yourself, still making absolute beast tunes. Josh Harvey's still making really good music.
Yeah.
Dave Taylor is when we hear it every decade.
Every now and then, yeah.
Well, how did you discover dance music and get into it? I know for everyone
Do you
listening,
know what? This is so cringe.
This
honestly.
man is from Wales.
I'm from
All the way
town.
from Wales.
Yeah.
What was going on in Wales that made you discover this?
It wasn't even in. I think when I was about 14, a friend of mine had a set of decks, and I was like, "This is what I want to do." I'd always done musical instruments, and then just kind of got bored of them because they only make one sound.
What do you play?
I played guitar, I played violin, I played the cornet, I played the piano, and then I stopped all of them. Didn't really get far in any of them, like I said, because I got bored, and it was like, this isn't really like playing the cornet. It's like it's one sound. You're never going to make anything other than that one sound playing the cornet, are you? As much as it's a skill and it's amazing,
You
it's
should incorporate the cornet into
yeah.
your live
Imagine,
set.
Jesus. Don't think so. And then I kind of got into bonkers, like happy hardcore stuff.
Yeah. Shout out the
So I kind of
bonkers.
got into the bonkers stuff for a bit, maybe like a year. I was always really into hip hop, and like I'd been into the Prodigy and stuff when I was really young because it was probably the only dance music. And like I would buy tapes, like what was it Yamanda Synth and Strings, or was it Yolanda? I can't remember the name. I think it was Yamanda Synth and Strings, stuff like that, and like Underworld. I was always into all of that, but I didn't really understand what it was because I was a kid.
No
and then
You had good
Yeah,
taste
yeah.
though, man.
Well, yeah, it was just
Yeah.
all that you had access to though where I lived, unless it was something really popular and big, and it was available in HMV, or well, we didn't really have HMV, but it was available in your local record shop. You couldn't. There was no way of accessing it because obviously you didn't have the internet until I was probably about 16. So before that, it was just. Do you remember Britannia Music Club?
Oh yeah, I do. Is that like
Yeah.
you paid a subscription or
Yeah,
something?
and then
like a
ticked
wank
off
up?
what CDs
We
you wanted.
had a similar thing here in the States called like Columbia House.
That's probably
BMG,
exactly the same thing, yeah.
Where you get it in the mail
Yeah,
and
that's
it's a
it.
list of CDs.
Yeah.
You pick what you want
Yeah.
and you send in a penny.
Yeah.
And then they send you 10 CDs, and then as a kid, you never paid for one.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You got like
yeah.
free CD.
That was basically that was how like I remember getting Music for the Jilted Generation as the first ever CD I had.
Through that CD
Being
club.
like, but then also on the at the same time I'd have things like the Spice Girls or Aqua or whatever. All the garbage you listen to when you're a kid. And I think when I got that Music,
Did you
for the
rock 2
Jilted,
copies of those?
I still got them with me. But yeah, that was probably my introduction to it. And then obviously Bonkers happened. And then I think I must have been about 16 at the time. Because before that I was DJing, but I was doing like hip hop and any little bits of really popular dance music like that might come out. And I was in HMV in a place called Chester, which is like the nearest city to where we lived was Chester. And I saw this is so cringe. And there's this CD, it was called Nasty Dirty Sex Music. So I was like, yeah, this is cool. And it was like a Ministry of Sound sessions compilation. They were really good. They were a really good series. I might have even been 18 by then. And I
So
got
you could
that.
legally buy the Nasty
Nasty Dirty Sex music. And that was where I first heard Switch and Jesse Rose. It was that Audio Bullies remix.
And
Switch
that was on
it.
that comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesse Rose A-Sided was on there. That was when I first heard it, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I've never heard anything like this before. Because obviously I'd never been exposed to anything remotely underground before. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, and I kind of got like into electro house and stuff as well. Like the old Cerez D stuff. Yeah, it kind of grew from there.
Yeah. How did you get into like actually, when was your
Production.
first gig or
Oh,
producing?
my first
producing
gig was when I just turned 18 on the local pier, which is like round the corner from where I live now. And it was like in they said it was a bar. It was basically just a room with a little wooden bar at the end. And me and my friend opened up first together. So we played like Marco V stuff, which is kind of almost trance, but almost electro-y as well. We played stuff like that because all the other people would play like full-on stomping hardcore because there was quite a big hardcore scene where I lived. So we would come on first, play a bit of that stuff, and then the BPM would go from like 135 to 250 like that. And it was like and everyone was stomping. And then eventually I just started doing it on my own and playing house at the start. Then I got a friend of mine worked for Head Candy in Marbella, and he offered me the chance to go and live in Spain for a summer.
Cool.
So I went and lived in Spain, had a residency. It wasn't for Head Candy, but I
How
had
was
like
that?
It was an experience. Yeah, it was the first time I'd ever been like a resident where I had to play for 7 hours every night. You were DJing, and like they would expect like pop and chart music and stuff. But then once it got to 5 a.m. because it was open until 7, they were like 5 a.m. comes, you could play whatever you want. So I got Cubase like on my really old laptop, and I would download like 50 chart songs of like current chart songs, put them all into a mix, burn it on a CD, and just play the CD. And then I would sit there just playing Mario Kart. And then when it came to 5 a.m, I was like, right, let's play some house. So it got to that time, started playing all the fidget house and stuff. And I remember I actually did play for Head Candy. And I played, Dub-Sided is obviously like really formative label for a lot of people.
For sure.
There was a song that I can't remember what it's called now. Was it Jan Driver? It wasn't Jan Driver. I can't remember what it was. It was called Spray Can, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember who did that. It's really obnoxious. It's like a really squeaky, obnoxious
Renaissance
track.
Man, I think.
That's it, that's it.
Yeah.
I played that at Head Candy last, and it was like I played the most offensive song anyone could ever pick to play at Head Candy,
Yeah,
you
I remember.
could see everyone was like, what is he playing here? What is this rubbish? Never got asked back.
Yeah.
But that's a cool experience that you got to go from, your small town out to Spain and have a residency. That's a pretty big.
Yeah,
did you feel like that was
I've
a
made
big
it.
break? Yeah, I fucking made it, man.
Yeah, I
Playing
think
7 hour sets.
See, when I first got there, I think they were like, basically my friend was trying to wangle me a residency somewhere. So I had to do PRing. And I'm super awkward at the best of times. Like I'm not, from spending time with me, I'm not the sort of person who's going to go up to people and be like, hi, yeah, do you want to come in this club? It's going to be great. Yeah, we're going to have fun. So I did that for like 2 nights.
Out of your comfort zone.
I was so shit at it. It was terrible. And then I managed to get into one bar where I was literally DJing behind the bar and had like, the worst speakers imaginable with a limiter. So if it kicked onto the limiter, the sound would go down to like really quiet levels, and everyone would be like, "Where's the music gone?" And then I got the gig in probably the best club that was there. Like, I think the fella who owned it, his son was the sound engineer at Amnesia, so he was like, he obviously made sure that club had really good. It had a Zone 92 mixer, which at the time nowhere had an Allen and Heath mixer. Anywhere, it was all DJM 600s or whatever it was.
What year is this?
I think I was 19, so what's that, like 2007?
Okay.
2006, 2007, I think it was, yeah. So that'd probably be DJM 600 then. So yeah, it was a really good experience, yeah. And by the end, I was sick of it.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that went on that I don't really like, let's say. I'm not against people doing certain things, drugs, but I'm not into it. So for me, when I'm in a room full of people and they're all on a certain level and I'm not on that level, it gets really tiresome after a few months when you just want to chill out. But the person you live with is like, right, you've got to get up now because I've got 20 people coming in the house.
Oof.
And we're all going to sit talking absolute garbage till 1 p.m. Yeah, it was like that. So yeah, it was a good experience.
So there was like the summer, that's good. I've had my little taste of Marbella.
Yeah,
like,
I grew up, I think.
Paid some dues.
Yeah,
I've been to
sure.
Marbella. I spent, when I was 16, a summer out, or a couple of weeks in Spain, and Marbella was actually a spot that I would go to. So I am aware of the vibe.
Yeah, it's
so
sick. It's a nice place. Yeah. It is a nice place.
It's kind of cool.
I never really felt like I fit in though. I think largely, I mean, does anyone really feel like they fit in anywhere most of the time? Because I certainly don't. But I think it's all the really, cool people, in quotation marks, that I've never really felt a part of that. For me, this has always been a really solitary, geeky thing to do, making music.
Yeah, especially producing and DJing was always like that in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's kind of like the
It's
new
become
guitar
glamorous. It's
or
cool,
whatever.
isn't it? Yeah. It's like rock music was in the 70s. It's really cool. But
And
it
to
was
think,
never,
and to think about the amount of time you have to dedicate yourself to this craft,
Yep.
really, and just getting your production down is really a solitary,
I can't imagine the amount
thing
of hours
to do.
I've spent,
Like-
and probably the same for you. It must be thousands of hours that we've spent just sitting there.
Easy.
Especially when you start, I find it kind of tapers off once you get to a certain point. Like now I don't spend nearly as much time as I used to. But I think at the start, because everything's new, I mean, you would literally just, I don't know about you, but I would literally just sit chain smoking, like sitting outside my parents they had a basement and there was like a deck over the top. So that was the only sheltered bit where I could smoke. Because obviously my parents were like, didn't want me to be smoking in the house because neither of them smoke. And it was the only place I could sit and smoke. So I would sit, even in the winter, I would sit like it'd be pissing it down with rain. I'd be sat under this shelter with a laptop plugged into an outdoor socket with a little bucket over it to stop it getting wet, chain smoking just on Cubase. And I did that so much, all the time. Worked in a supermarket, and then that was how I spent like.
Was this around the same time as the gig? Like you said, you had like your Cubase laptop. You were kind of
yeah. So I think what happened was I moved. I was using I can't exactly remember when I must have been about 17 when I started producing music. Yeah, because I think I'd left school and my parents were like really supportive and just said, my brother went to university. I never wanted to go. It was never really anything that I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to do music. So I was like, I just want to try and do music. So they said, okay, go to college, do music technology. So I left school, started doing that. That's where I found Cubase. And then quickly learned the teacher. Like I was at a higher level than the teacher very quickly using Cubase, which wasn't a high level. Like it wasn't like I was a genius on Cubase for some reason. It wasn't, I don't know, he just didn't really know that much about it. I think he just kind of learned a basic course, just enough to get by to teach a few people something.
Yeah, and you were genuinely interested.
Yeah, and I would spend all my time out of there doing that. So yeah, then I dropped out of that because I just saw it as being worthless to me.
Yeah.
Probably should have finished it.
Did you find people in the area, in the same area as you, that were into like similar, like-minded people with similar music interests? Or anything?
There were the two friends who I got into DJing from, Matt and Rich. They were the only people I'd ever met that were remotely into DJing at all, up until probably I moved to Spain. And when I moved to Spain, it was just by chance that an old family friend lived there and had gotten into DJing himself, so it was just chance. So when I say it's a solitary thing, I've never been involved in a big group of people who all make music, which is why when I get chances like this to talk about it, I love talking about making music because I never get to, even now, I never really get to do it, because I'm very isolated where I am. So unless I'm traveling, doing gigs or whatever, or specifically traveling for studio time, I'm on my own all the time. And that's how I prefer it, to be honest. I'm not someone who believes in like art by committee as well, You know how you get these massive teams of people all writing songs together and stuff? I kind of feel like I don't know, for me it's best. I'm best on my own,
Solo.
Yeah.
It seems to be working. You got music out on Mousetrap,
yeah.
And of course Nightbase.
Well, Nightbase is where I found my feet, really, I think. I think Nightbase has been, I could never thank you enough, because Nightbase has been a platform for me to get here, to get to this point,
I mean, I'm lucky to have you on Nightbase. Like I think you've had probably more releases than anyone else.
If I had 9 or 10, 9.
Yeah.
And I've got one to come, so that'll be 10.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Jesus, you're a brave man. You're a brave man.
It's so solid. Well, how did Mousetrap come about? That's really fucking cool.
Stroke of luck, that was.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, yeah.
Big move.
Stroke of luck. That was all down to a manager. Anybody listening to this from back in the Fidget days and know Mickey Slim. I know both of you do.
Huge shout to Mickey.
Remix Mickey Slim.
Could never thank him. Yeah, House of Pain.
Yeah,
you remixed
right.
that, didn't you? The House of Pain bootleg that he did and then turned into a release. Yeah, Joel Deadmau5 remixed that as well.
Did he?
Using the same package, yeah.
No way.
Mental. That is madness, yeah. It's basically all down to him. I think Chris Lake as well. This is a very roundabout story, but basically, I was in a pub years ago, right, on Christmas Eve, having a pint.
Getting smashed probably.
As you do, yeah. This is years ago now.
UK style.
And I bumped, it is. That's basically all people do in the UK. I bumped into someone I used to skate with when I was like 13, 14 that I hadn't seen for years, who just happened to work for Rising Digital. Bear in mind, where I live is like a tiny little seaside town where there's like 10,000 people or 20,000 people or something. So the fact that he'd firstly moved away, ended up working for Chris Lake's company, and then secondly, just happened to come back for that Christmas, just this one time, and I bumped into him. He mentioned that I said I was making music. He said, I work for Chris Lake. Do you want me to send some music over? I was like, yeah, definitely. Sent music over. Chris said he really liked it. started speaking to him ever since, off and on, and sending him bits of music. And then I think Chris mentioned me to Mickey Slim, and Mickey was trying to get more into management at the time rather than production and DJing. So obviously, priorities change as your life changes. And it all kind of spiraled from there. Then Mickey went into business with Dean Wilson, who's Deadmau5's manager. And they created Circle 8, which is the management company that I'm now signed to. And it's kind of just gone from there. And the Mousetrap thing kind of came around because, they're obviously always looking for music. Every label is. And I happened to make 1981, which was an acid house record, basically. And the label liked it. And that originally, when I made that idea, I thought, this will just be, because Laura got me a 303 for Christmas. And, the boutique one. And, that was the first track I made with it, and it happened within a day. And I was like, that'll probably just be, a B-side for like a night-based thing, because I don't feel like it's that strong. And then, it got signed, came out. Like Afrojack's been playing it.
Wow.
Feddy LeGrand playing it. Everyone. Yeah,
I've been playing it.
Yes.
Everybody.
Thank you. Mad. I never thought. I just thought people think, it's a gimmicky acid record. People aren't really bothered. And it seemed to catch on quite well.
When you make tunes, do you ever think that this tune is going to become a big tune, or do you always have those kind of low key expectations?
I think everyone does, don't they? Sometimes you think you're sitting there and you really believe in yourself, and you think, this is fucking, come on, mate, this is the best tune anyone's ever made. No one's ever made a tune as good as this. And then quite often it's the ones that you don't think that about that other people seem to latch on to, innit? Like I said, I thought that was a B-side. I never really think about it. I kind of I think of each track completely individually and never think of what it's going to do after that. I just kind of think, do I like it? Yeah, all right. Because I spent a lot of time trying to make stuff that would fit a certain way. Even doing stuff on Night Bass, I've tried to do that at times. And it's taken me a long time to realise that I don't have to do that. And in the past few years, I've really just honed in on my own thing. I don't really.
Now that you're with Mousetrap, are you doing more releases with Mousetrap?
Yeah, I've got one coming out. What date is it today? It's not March yet, February. I got one coming out in April, and I can tell you behind the scenes who there's a collab with on it, and I've told Aaron who it is. But there's a big collab coming, and I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to say anything about it. But yeah, I've got an acid record on that as well.
Oh shit!
But there's a big the collabs. I think it's a weird song.
The song's dope. I don't think it's weird at all. I mean, it's a banger.
See, I feel like it's weird. But yeah, that might be a good thing. That'd be a good thing that I think it's weird.
Weird is good, man.
Weird
Yeah,
good.
it's different. It's different. It's kind of almost industrial. It's like industrial 808 bass house weirdness with a cool vocal on it.
How has Mousetrap changed? That's probably changed a lot of things. I know you've been on tour with Deadmau5, which is insane.
It just opens doors for you. It's
because he's created Mousetrap's kind of it has its own little world, right?
It's its own ecosystem,
yeah. So you're now a part of that, so it's probably
it's
a lot
nuts.
of opportunities and
they're
new
definitely they're really good in the way that they it's similar to Night Bass. They push their artists, you don't just you wouldn't just release a record from someone and then that's you never speak to them again. It's just quite I find a lot of labels nowadays are like that. They'll just, especially some of these big, I'm not going to name any names, but some of these bigger labels, it's kind of you might release one record and then that's it, your history. Unless you do another record for them and another record for them. If you release one, they're not really that bothered. They just kind of want the content.
They like the story, the plot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. I think Mousetrap are willing to invest. Yeah. It's they obviously, I think they want other artists to grow and they want them to maintain a certain, I wouldn't say integrity, but a certain level of artistry goes into Mousetrap, I think. And it definitely does open doors for you because some of these places I've played with Mousetrap have just been ridiculous.
Yeah, talk about some of the
I played Ultra last year, which is just I never thought I'd play Ultra. I remember watching Ultra years ago. Do you remember when they first started the live stream thing and being like, "Geez, look at that Warehouse Project."
Yeah,
I remember going to Warehouse Project, seeing Theo, seeing Fake Blood. mad.
Is this all the with Mousetrap takeover events? Yeah.
It's all basically support slots for Joel or, for their own artist lineups or whatever. Yeah, so Warehouse Project, Printworks in London was another one.
Amazing.
Printworks, have you been to Printworks? It's nuts.
No, I haven't.
It is
Did
nuts.
you see this is kind of off topic, but Holy Goof did his show at Printworks, and I just saw like the little recap video.
Yeah, incredible.
It's one of the most epic things I've ever seen in my life.
It's the sort of place where you'd have like Goof playing, but then at the same, like 2 days later, you'd have Aphex Twin playing or Fortet or like, bands and stuff. It's so like, it's such a varied, it's like Warehouse Project in a way. It's like one of those prestige places, where everybody really wants to play. But yeah, it was wicked. Sick. And then obviously I've done like the American shows, like House of Blues in Boston was, I think that might have been the best week of gigs of my life. Like that 4 shows in Boston? I've never seen it. 7:30 p.m. when you've got like, I don't know how many people there were, like 1,500 people, all going absolutely ballistic from the start is like a dream. Especially when you go in there, you play from like 7:30 till 9:30. It's like I'm in bed by 12 o'clock. Usually you're up till 5, 6 a.m. Yeah.
And has that been the theme for like these shows? Is that people come early and they like and they don't mind if they don't know who the opener is or like who is supporting. They just go.
See, you've definitely got to work harder.
You got to work harder.
Yeah. Like I noticed. So like Boston was a weird one because it was just like the overall atmosphere was like. Everyone was there for a party, like bang right from the off. Some of the other ones has been like you've got to work to get people into what you're doing, which I understand. It's 7:30. It's like you've probably just finished work.
Yeah,
you're not going to be coming to it absolutely hammered, ready for a party like you are at midnight in a club on a Saturday night. It's obviously like a Wednesday night, and you've probably got work in the morning again, and it's all early. So I really appreciate when people do get into it. But yeah, you definitely have to work to get them going. It's not like walking into a club and just playing a banger and everyone goes, "Way!" Yeah. Unless you're Joel, and then when Joel walks out, it's like you've never heard screaming so loud,
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's got such a devoted fan base; it's nuts. But he's really good with them, I will say, because he's like you, Aaron. He spends time, meeting people, and he'll make sure that he makes enough time to actually, have the time to take photos with people and stuff, and. I think that's really important. I mean, I'm useless. I'm like a recluse. I'll be like, I want to arrive at the club 5 minutes before I play. And then afterwards I'll feel so awkward that I have to leave immediately. That's just, yeah.
How long did you stay last night?
About 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I just can't do it, man.
That's pretty solid, man.
I just find it so awkward. When people are all like, oh man, that was sick. You're like, I just want to go to bed.
Yeah,
I always enjoyed those support sets because I've done a few like back in the day for like really
there's no limits
artists, and you're just kind of like I always loved afterwards like you kind of gain a bunch of new fans because it's they've never heard of you, they have no idea, and you kind of do you, and if they like it, they'll follow you.
See what I loved about the Deadmau5 ones is because you're playing before someone, it is, but because you're playing before someone who is only going to play their own music and maybe some like, remix versions or whatever, you could play, as long as I don't play any Deadmau5 records, I could play whatever I want. And I can also play I could literally start off at 130 BPM techno if I wanted to, or I could play drum and bass. I could do whatever I want, which is like really freeing, because in clubs sometimes it's like, it's not that there's an expectation. There is in a way, but like if say I'm playing a night bass event, I'm not going to walk into a night bass event and start off with some minimal, like weird, obscure tracks that we might have been into in like 2008. Whereas on these Deadmau5 things, I've been able to start off and play like, I played like in Avant Garden in Brooklyn, I played like half an hour of old Fidget House.
Sick.
And it really worked.
And no one's going anywhere. You're
exactly.
I'm just going to play this music to you, and you're just going to
I'm going to play whatever I want, and you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Because obviously, if I went and did that like in a club situation, it would be just dead. Like people would be like, "What is he playing here? Like, why is he playing really weird?"
Just gives you that creative license just to kind of do
what
thing.
You want. Yeah, it's nice. And it's good doing the longer sets like that as well because you're so free. Like sometimes I find it quite difficult in clubs to really, like a long set I find quite difficult because I find it hard to find enough music that I deem energetic enough for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't like to let up on energy when I play. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed when I play, I kind of try and keep it at a certain level. I know obviously you've got to have parts where certain records calm it down a bit or whatever and move in a different direction. But I find with shorter sets, you can just bang it out and play all the tracks you really, really like. And then, you know, the next person comes on. Whereas when it's like 2 hours, you've got to dig a bit deeper and you've got to have those lulls because you can't just have people going absolutely nuts like for 2 hours because no one's going to do that. I don't think anyone's got the energy for that.
Yeah. What's kind of the next step? Like, what's your goal? What's your vision for your project?
An album.
Yeah.
Proper album.
How are you going to go about that?
You're asking me. I've got quite a few. I haven't got the more clubby stuff down, but I've got quite a few like weird bits that I want to put in it. Because that's the one thing for me with an album is show your range. I don't just want to. Again, I find you're probably both the same. I hate making just the same thing over and over again. I like to. You got to keep yourself interested because if you're not interested, no one else is going to be interested in it. So I'm going to try and do some different stuff on it. Like I really like making hip hop as well. So I'm hoping I could just work something in there.
Some cornet. Some cornet.
Cornet.
Rap shit.
I am excited for that.
Cornet.
Some Welsh.
Maybe
bars.
some violin. Oh God.
Well, I mean,
don't want me rapping.
Because of Mousetrap, I mean, you got probably a direct plug to a lot of rappers through. Yeah.
The amount of vocals that get sent is insane. You know, like people pitching vocals to.
So how does that work? They just give you like an acapella.
Folders and folders of songs. And then obviously if you want to try something with them, you try something with them. That's how Pushing came about. Because we got sent... No, do you know what happened was I was doing a remix for someone and it didn't get picked up. So I sent it out as an instrumental, like in a folder, just see if anyone's into it. And randomly got this a cappella back and I didn't use it on that original idea. But this is all through 720, who is, you know, work with Circulate, my management company, who 720 managed Joel. So they're like really heavily involved in running Mousetrap. And got that vocal back, loved it. And then that was Pushing, yeah. But you get like folders and folders and folders of, you know, you might get like 10 different vocalists. And then in each one, there's like 20 different songs and you just go through, choose what you want. And some of them are incredible. It just depends whether you make something that they like, you know.
And is there other people looking at the same vocals? So, and
I think usually what they're probably aiming for is Joel to use it. They just want, who wouldn't want to make a record with deadmau5 in it, you know? Right. If you're a vocalist, it's probably one of the best things you can do is release a song with someone like that.
Do you find it difficult to have that many choices to like pick from?
Yeah,
like say
I'm
you have like
really fussy.
300 vocal ideas,
yeah,
and then you're probably like too many. Like
I think the worst part is all the ones I make, they don't like them. This is fair enough. Yeah. I just have to learn to sing. I wish I could sing. It'd be amazing to just do your own vocals, isn't it?
I know, man. You wouldn't have to worry.
Sick.
You know,
I'd love it. I'd love it if I had like a full-on diva voice. You know, like Kayleen Zanders, I want her voice. I just want to be able to come out there.
With a voice like that.
I know, yeah. I would love to be able to do that.
You should do like a live set where you pretend to sing and you have her in the building singing.
Just lip syncing.
Yeah, lip syncing. Yeah.
I don't think I could pull that off, to be honest. I don't think I've got the charisma for that.
The awkward singer-songwriter.
The awkward fella in his dad's clothes at the front, pretending to sing.
I think your vision of yourself, like you're so self-deprecating humor all the time, and
British,
say how awkward you are, but you're actually
pretty British.
You're pretty outgoing, man. Like
I am with you because you're my friends.
Okay.
If I just met you, I'd be like, ooh. It's the big social situations that I find really painful. Like when there's loads of people there.
Yeah.
Like it's taken me a long time. I kind of lost my confidence quite a lot especially with DJing. I think between like. See, I was getting quite a lot of gigs in Europe and it was going all right. And then, weirdly enough, I made the switch from using CDs to using USBs. And when that happened, I just stopped getting gigs. Obviously, it had nothing to do with using USB. This is a weird tangent. I'll go on here. So basically, I kind of switched over and realised I didn't really know how to use modern CDJs because I've been using CDs for so long. This is only about this must be about 5 years ago. So it's not, ancient history, but it's long enough ago. And it really knocked my confidence because I wasn't able to do what I was so used to doing, which is just, play a set. But with this new with record box and everything, it kind of, it knocked me. And then I stopped getting gigs for a long time. Probably when I started first signed to Nightbase, I started maybe getting a few more gigs after a few years. And only recently I've really rediscovered my confidence in DJing, I still find it, I still find it quite daunting, but I think everyone does. I think if you don't ever get nervous, you probably don't care about it all that much. Mm-hmm. I think everyone probably has a bit of that pre-show nerves or whatever. But yeah, I still do get that quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. And when you do you overcome that once you're there and
I really enjoy it once I'm going. I think you just need to get a few records in, don't you? And like everybody messes up. You'll press play on the wrong. In Boston, I pressed play on the wrong CDJ. They were I'm not going to complain. They were all set up backwards, basically. It's like CDJ 1 was on channel 3 and CDJ 2 was on channel 1.
Yeah, you had one job to set up the
CDJs.
Yeah.
And you're like, Jesus, what's going on? Yeah. But in Cable years ago, Crafty Cuts, Martin.
Yeah.
So I was supporting him in Cable in London. Cable was sick. Do you ever go to Cable?
No.
It was in an old...
I don't think I've been to Cable.
I don't think so.
I think it was an old tube station or something. It was like under the underground. So it was like a cavern and the acoustics were amazing. The bass was like rattle your chest in there. And I was playing in there, this is years ago now. And I pressed play on the wrong CDJ. And someone in the crowd actually went, DJ's a wanker. I was like, fuck. It was perfect. Like the timing was perfect. Because when it just goes silent and everyone's like, oh. And he's like, DJ's a wanker from the back.
Your confidence just
and I was like, shit. There was no getting him back. Then. There was nothing I could have played then that would have come back from that. But yeah, once you've done that, it's probably all uphill from there. Because it can't get much worse, can it?
We've all been there, honestly. Everyone has been there, no matter what level you're at.
It happens, It happens.
Yeah,
it's bound to happen. And like one of the worst ones is when you do a loop and either the track isn't quite quantized properly, like in modern stuff. Mm-hmm. It used to be, when you remember you used to have to do a loop on an actual CDJ and it would be
you have to be quick.
Do that timing.
And it was like, get it spot on. And then if you didn't get it spot on, you had to like nudge it round.
Right.
But like with the new ones, you kind of just expect it to work perfectly straight away. And when it doesn't, and then the beats start going off and you're like, oh, Jesus
I have
Christ.
to do something.
Yeah, you're like, what is going on here? I've noticed a lot of people just use sync, don't they?
Yeah.
See, I hate sync.
Sync makes me uncomfortable. I don't trust it.
I don't. That's my thing. Is I don't trust it to do what I want it to do at all times. And plus, beat matching is kind of all I need is good monitors. If I've got bad monitors, I'm gonna have a bad time, mate. It's gonna be shit if I've got bad monitors. So if anyone ever sees me out there that's listening to this and I'm rubbish, it's probably because the monitors are rubbish. If I have perfect monitors, I'm good.
I feel like you really like in those early days, those peer gigs, the Marbella gigs, you kind of like, that's like training ground for all this, for everything that you're doing now.
One of my first gigs,
like,
we playing on vinyl. And do you remember Cosmic Gate? Is it Cosmic Gate Firewire? Do they do Firewire? No, Firewire. That track. No. So there's this big build up. I always tell this story. There's this big build up in this track, right? And it's going off, and everyone in the crowd's like, yeah. There's probably only about 25 people there in a little shed in Wales, but it was really good, and it was getting to the build up. And then it came to this bit where it all drops off the music, and it just goes Firewire. And it was literally a perfect loop on the vinyl, and it just stuck on Firewire. It was just going Firewire. And you're like, oh, mate, there's no way out of that. It was like we just literally had to drop the next record in. We just had to drop the next record in.
Man, that's like the reoccurring DJ nightmare that everyone has.
But it just sticks.
Yeah.
And like when you get an emergency loop, at Creamfields, I was playing with Mickey. And Gooey Vuitton is like our side project thing. And
what's it called?
Gooey Vuitton.
Gooey Vuitton.
Yeah, we had a release on Chris Lake's label on Black Books. We've got more stuff coming soon. We're working on it. But so we were playing, and the person who was on before us had exactly the same USB as Mickey had put in. So I asked them, I was like, which one's yours? And they said, this one. So I was like, right. Pulled it out. It was the wrong one. It just stopped. It's like, oh,
DJ's a wanker.
Yeah, Mickey was furious. Yeah.
Oh my
I was like,
God.
but I asked, and they said take that one out. So what am I supposed to do? It's like there's nothing I can.
You're the one that looks like
nothing
a
I can
tit
do.
because you're
Yeah,
the one
exactly.
with
I'm the one who's
USB
like,
stick.
wait, turn it off. And then I've got loads of stories like this. Another gig I played at, the bass was so heavy. Every time the track kicked in, it pressed stop on the CDJ.
Oh my God.
So they had to go and get like a stack of towels to put the CDJs on.
You should just
Nuts,
like
man. I
you
should do a
should just
book of
sit
these.
and tell these stories all day.
Yeah.
Oh, I got so
I'm
many
cool
of them.
with that.
I'm so awkward. This is the thing. I'm so awkward. And then when it happens, when things like that happen, there's no coming back.
Yeah.
The only person I've ever seen come back from it is Dave Taylor at Chibuku in
What did he
Liverpool.
do?
He had his it was when people were first using Ableton, really, and it literally out of nowhere just went like super loud. Obviously, just the audio driver crashed, and he went in his bag. He went in his backpack, pulled out a stack of CDs with no cases, and just started playing off those, and it was amazing. Everyone was like, "Way!"
He used to turn up with the. I played a gig with him, and he turned up with a. You know that in the hotel, the hairdryer has the bag that it comes in, the little drawstring bag. He turned up with a bunch of CDs in this like hairdryer bag, and none of them were labeled. We just
Because he just burned them.
he just
nuts, and still rocks it. Like everyone loved it.
What a legend.
Mate,
man.
that was mad. That was.
So yeah, I mean, you think you're awkward. I think you're like not as awkward as you think you are.
Yeah,
But
you haven't seen me at my best.
that's
You-
your brand.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
We all
"Yo,
need a brand. Yeah.
don't unmask my brand.
Yeah.
bro."
Or speak to me or look at me. Just leave me alone. See, if I could, right, I'd be like Aphex Twin where he does a gig where he's just cross-legged on the floor.
Yeah, just
computer.
laying there.
I would just be like that.
Dude, well, you know,
You can.
Why can't you?
Eventually, once it comes to me playing live, in quotation marks, that'll be what I do probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want a bed here. A bed with a one-way mirror. So I can see the crowd, but they can't see me. And then just Earl Grey on tap at the side.
Oh my God.
Decaf, of course, because I'm not a maniac. Not a party animal.
So you like, as far as like the social stuff, I know it's definitely, I'm the same way. Like it's pretty daunting when you're at a club and there's like 100 people around and everyone's trying to talk and you're kind of like, you know, I try to be outgoing, but I'm actually like pretty like shy, you know, inside, but I kind of hide it. But I know you cut back on the alcohol a lot.
Yeah,
do you
virtually.
find that makes it harder or easier to kind of like adjust to those situations?
I
or-
think it was becoming like a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
It was becoming where you couldn't separate the two things.
Yeah.
It was like, if you're going to be DJing and, you know, being involved in this party, you have to be drunk or doing something, you know? But I kind of just completely removed myself from that. And now it's at the point where I don't think I could do it if I was drunk. Like, I don't think I'm so much more in control now of every aspect of the whole, you know, the whole gig. Like, you can actually, there's also nothing worse than when you both probably know yourselves, when you get home after a gig or back to the hotel, wake up in the morning, like, I can't even remember. Can't even remember what I played. Can't remember how it went.
So are
Probably
you
all right.
sober now, or you just cut,
Pretty
cut
much.
back?
Pretty much sober, yeah. I mean, I'll have a beer every so often at home or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm not like, it used to be you'd get hammered, you know? But
That's
Not
becoming more commonplace now. Like the DJs that are cutting back, or taking on the sobriety.
I just don't think it's sustainable.
It isn't. I mean, I've been drinking like since I was a kid. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
same,
And
yeah, same.
you
Like
start
14.
like you kind of have that habit of partying like that, and then you start touring, and it's just an industry standard. You know, you get there, they shove it in your face. Here,
It's
drink
like,
this.
here's a bottle of whiskey, a
Yeah.
litre of whiskey just for you.
Yeah, and then
Like, what's going to happen? You're
You
sitting
know,
on your
it's-
own as well.
every city, and it's like the promoter and their friends, and they're like really friendly, and they want to hang out with you, and
Yeah.
let's drink, and then it becomes like, cool, this is my job, this is great.
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
over the years, you're like, last year I had a few moments where I was like, all right, like what am I doing? Like, so I went sober for a couple months, and then I like
Moderation's the thing,
like
yeah.
trying to learn moderation.
That's the thing. That's
Yeah.
the key, because
And
I
it's-
think
it's-
if you go completely sober, it ends up controlling you even more. I know
think
some
so.
people have big problems with it and they have to go sober, or else basically
Yeah.
your life's gone. But
Yeah, mine was in
Moderation's
the
the
in the
key.
sense that it was such a habit for gigs. Like I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
drinking every day, but it's like every gig, it's
Yep.
like
Yep.
a couple drinks, and that turns into
Well, it's the weekend,
Once
yeah.
I start, I'm like boom, I just keep going. So I cut back a lot, and I've noticed like who you surround yourself with also affects that. So it's like I've noticed because I did that, a lot of like Benny from Jack Beats did that years ago, and it's kind of inspired me to kind of do it. And a couple other friends that aren't DJs were doing it, so I started. And then I've noticed other people around me kind of cut back too, because I think it's a positive thing when you do it. Your friends get interested in that because they see you, if it works well for you, they want to do it. And I'm kind of happy that people are doing that now because, like you said, it's not sustainable at all. And
there's certain people in the industry, I don't know how they're still alive. The amount of partying, and it's not just like booze is obviously, it's a pretty powerful drug, really. Like it completely strips you of your inhibitions, and you can go wild. But like people who do that and the whole drug scene, and not just like a bit of cocaine, which becomes like the industry. It's probably the industry standard drug that everyone. I mean, in the UK, that is pretty much all anyone does is go out drinking, doing cocaine. That is like the thing to do. But then there's like pills and stuff and ketamine, and there's plenty of people who are doing that regularly, you know, in this, and have been doing it for 10 years. I don't know how they're alive. That would kill me.
For sure.
I didn't even do it once. It'd probably kill me. I've never really been into all that.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, man. If it's not for you, you know, it's.
I know. I know myself, and I know it's just not for me. I don't care if anyone does it, but I just don't.
Yeah, they're so synonymous, like raving and drugs, but it doesn't mean that you have to. Like when I got into music, I wasn't really exposed to that. I wasn't really going to raves. I was like just enjoying the music and just really isolating the music on its own, just the pleasure of like the music.
Yeah, going to a gig. That's exactly what I was like. I do think now there's a like cocaine is the drug in Britain, definitely in Britain. Like I don't know about here, but it's weird because cocaine is not a party drug. It's not a drug to take and have a good time with music like ecstasy. The reason acid house and everything was what it was basically because of ecstasy, because you're all having a like-minded, positive experience, obviously bar a few people having bad trips or whatever, and obviously people can overdose and die or whatever. But cocaine is a very aggressive, it's like an angry, sobers you up, makes you drink more, sobers you up, makes it very intense, like, oh, you're like, yeah, I'm wound up. It's like you drink 1,000 cups of coffee at once and then want to go out and have a fight. It just doesn't. Dance music to me is like it's a positive thing. It's not an aggressive thing. Even if you listen to like the most aggressive dubstep, it's still not like, you're not going there for a fight. You're going there to listen to some music and let off some steam.
Yeah, just lose yourself and enjoy it.
Which is why I find it strange people fight. Why would you want to go out and fight? It doesn't make sense to me. It's a big thing in Britain, that.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you grow up around those kind of environments a lot?
Definitely, yeah. There was always fighting when I went out. Always. I would never get involved because I'm literally, you'd blow on me and I'd fly away. If you'd knock me over, no problem. But always fighting, yeah. And like, people getting glassed and bottled, and which to me is not. And you know what the funny thing is with that? It was usually always the clubs that played like chart music and sugary clubs were always the ones that had the most trouble. You go to these grotty underground clubs all around Europe, and people are really nice and friendly and all there for a good time. Whereas I don't know if it's like that here. I don't know if you get that in America as much.
Not really. Maybe at like kind of mainstream clubs, kind of cheesy, like pop clubs.
Yeah, in Britain they're usually the worst. It's always, you'll know there's going to be fights because you have to wear shirt and shoes. Yeah. That's how you know it's going to be a shithole.
Yeah.
It's true, man. It's mad.
It's such an indicator.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They try to like make it nice and safe, which makes it bad somehow.
Which is mad when I come to America, because there's a lot of clubs that are really clean, like super clean. Like last night at Time in Costa Mesa, however you say it. When I see a club like that, I'm always a bit cautious because I think it might be a bit flat and perfect, but atmosphere was wicked. It was amazing last night. That
was crazy.
Yeah. And it surprises me because back at home you don't really get clubs like that have that atmosphere.
Are you playing much in Europe and UK?
Play a few in Europe, it's mostly America, which is a shame because I've got to fly like we were saying before, I've got some mammoth trips to get here from where I live.
Why do you think that is? That like obviously because of Night Bass and stuff, you have a presence here, and now Mousetrap is going to be even bigger.
Yeah.
But over there, Why do you think you haven't connected to like the UK scene?
It's probably my own fault, really, because I'm not like super pushing branding and socials and all that nonsense. But to me, that's...
I noticed that about some UK artists are like that, where it's like huge in America, not so big over there. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess two different, whole different worlds. You know?
It is. I think America is a lot more... I think at the minute, America's a lot more open to underground music. Like, I think there's a much healthier... Like, I know obviously people take the absolute piss with some of their fees and people are getting millions of dollars to play shows in Vegas. But on the large part, America is made up of loads of different underground scenes. And you're basically like... I mean, America's massive. So every state is basically a different country. So it's, you know, you could... Once you get into America, you could just tour America forever. You don't need to leave America, ever. Like, as you well know yourself, and both of you play loads of gigs in America. You've been here a long time. It's not like it's... I don't know, it's just a much more positive place to be. I think maybe... Like, I played in Switzerland just before Christmas, and that was amazing. That reminded me of how good my gigs, like my early gigs, were in Europe. I think my first ever gig in Europe outside of that residency in Spain was at Social Club in Paris, which was like... I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was
I've
bonkers, bonkers club that was, with Det Boy, you know, Des. Played with him. That was nuts. And then the night after, I had one of the worst experiences of my life in a club in Kiev, in a place in Kiev. I call it a club.
Why?
I played in Kiev. This is a mad story. This is a horrible story. So I don't know if I've ever told this story publicly. So I played in Paris at Social Club, finished at like 4 a.m. The promoter... On the car on the way into Paris, the promoter started throwing up out the window of the car. And he didn't live in Paris. So I said, well, because I'm not really going to go to bed, you can have my hotel room. I just need to have a shower and, you know, get changed in there or whatever. So I just let him in, lay in my bed.
Because you had
basically.
to go you went to the next
So
place.
I had to go to Kiev at like 6 a.m. So I just let him do that. So I spent the whole night basically listening to him like throwing up and everything. Left for Kiev. Had to fly to London first. But I was only probably 20 or 21. I was young. I'm 32 now, so this is years ago. And I thought, you know, Kiev, yeah, it's going to be wicked. Got there. They took me to the hotel.
He just did air quotes.
Air quotes. It was basically a brothel. Like, I could hear... So first off, the door wouldn't lock, right? Honestly, no exaggeration, the door wouldn't lock. So I was like, you know, I was a kid. I was like, right, push the desk in front of the door. Then I could hear them coming into the next room. You could hear like, you know, next one, 10 minutes later.
Oh my God.
10 minutes later, constantly. The bed had like stains all over the sheets, holes ripped in them. The mirror was covered in like blood from obviously somebody had been picking spots or whatever. Toilet was all shitty stains. So which is like, you know, you can handle a grim hotel room.
Yo, living the dream.
The worst bit was when I thought, right, I'll get a bit of sleep because I haven't been to sleep yet. Look next to the bed, there was a used condom full of spunk next to the bed.
Oh my God.
So
It's so dark.
I remember, right, pulling my hands inside my hoodie, putting my hood up and tightening it and just lying there straight, like, I don't want to do this. And then they took me to the gig.
What was the gig like?
Oh, let me tell you, mate. So I went to do the gig and it was in like a really industrial-looking Eastern Bloc building. And... they took me out the back and there was like graffiti everywhere and stuff. And they were all talking in, I assume they speak Russian. I think it is Russian, but they were all speaking obviously in Russian. And then it was just me and these two other guys and it was like silent. There was no one there. And he goes, this is bad. He turned to me and said in English after they'd been talking for ages, laughing and all kind of like looking at me. And he goes, you know what he wants you to do? And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's going to be some weird sex thing, innit? It's like, I've walked into a bad situation here. And he went, he wants you to look at the graffiti. And I was like, oh, yeah, graffiti's great, mate. Yeah, it's wicked. It's like, Jesus Christ. I thought I was going to get diddled in a backlot. And then went and took me into the club. And it was like the upstairs of a barn. And there was like a school, you know, like a really small school table that's like really low down.
Yeah.
So like knee height table with a set of decks on it. and then like loads of people in knee-high boots like stomping, and I was just playing that house music. It was bizarre. And then the bit that topped it all
wasn't
off.
a disaster.
Well,
It was
they
a
never
disaster.
came. They never came to pick me up. They took me back to the hotel. Never came to take me to the airport. Never paid me. Just left me.
They never paid
No.
you.
So all I had on me, like I wasn't. This was a time before even having like mobile data. There was no Wi-Fi. You didn't have
There's
none of
no
that.
Uber.
No, there was nothing. So all I had was like, I think I got like €200 for the gig in Paris. And this was when they just give you cash in hand. They were just like, a bit of cash. So all I had on me was like €4 50 notes, a phone that had like barely any signal that I ended up spending like 200 quid on roaming on just to try and find out, how I could get out of there. And went to the front desk.
Sounds like Hostel, man.
Oh mate, that was why.
Fucking-
When I say like when I was outside that story where I thought I was going to get diddled, it looked like Hostel. It was so grim. It was honestly like a load of abandoned buildings. It didn't feel like there was anyone there but me. It was So anyway, had to go to reception
of the
reception of the
prostitution
brothel,
hotel.
reception of the brothel. Mate, when I got taken back to the gig at like back from the gig at like 2 a.m. When we got there was a fella in his underpants and a string vest lying on the sofa that let me in. It was like, honestly, it was mad. It wasn't like a proper hotel. It was mad. So when I left, I was trying to explain. I was making like aeroplane things like airport, car.
Yeah.
And then eventually a taxi turned up, and a like 6'5" skinhead got out the taxi, and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna just take all my stuff and just drop me off at the side of the road. But he was one of the nicest people I've ever met. Took me to change some money into local currency. And then I spent like 6 hours just sitting in the airport. I smoked at the time, just chain smoking, just waiting to go home.
You survived.
Yeah.
Nuts, man. That was my second ever proper gig as
All
well,
right.
like abroad.
I remember when I said you paid your dues in Spain. No. You paid your dues in Kiev.
Yeah, I got some horror stories, man. It was nuts.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And I think I didn't have any food. I didn't have anything to drink like for that whole period I was there.
And you got
Jesus.
skanked the fee as well.
It took me,
Fuck.
I think I argued it with them for a long time and I ended up getting like 65 quid on a MoneyGram.
So random.
And I'd spent like 180 on my phone bill. And then also, obviously, I spent, because I didn't have a clue what the currency was, I'd ended up giving this taxi driver like 50 quid, to take me to the exit. I was just like, here, have all this money.
Get me out of
See
here.
you later, yeah. Please,
the
please, sir.
Glamorous life of a DJ.
Yeah, it's not glamorous. Unless you're at the top, it's not glamorous at all. There's nothing glamorous about it.
Is it
there?
glamorous now?
No, still not glamorous. I stay in some nice hotels, but that's only because I'm in charge of choosing them. I just do not want that experience ever
You're a
again.
glamorous
no.
man.
Yeah, well,
Do you think it will ever be glamorous?
I hope so. I hope so.
I think you're going to get glamorous.
I think you're going to get glamorous,
Yeah.
man. You're on the
I-
ascendance.
It's going
You're
up,
ascending,
yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to invite myself on your private jet one day.
You'll be flying it, mate. You'll be the pilot.
Get my pilot's license.
No, I hope so. Jesus, that'd be amazing. I'd love that.
Yes.
It's good to look back on all these moments at least and feel grateful that
Do you know Mickey always says I should celebrate, my manager Mickey
should.
always says I should celebrate the things I achieve no matter how small, because I find it quite hard to, he says I never get excited about anything, but that's just me. I'm not like, you tell me a good bit of news now, I'm not going to jump for joy and start spraying champagne in everyone's face. I'll just be like, oh yeah, cool.
Why is that, do you think?
Don't know. It's just me. My dad's exactly the same. I'm just not that sort of person.
When was the last time you got really excited about an event or something?
I think it was when I finished work forever.
Oh, you finished gave up your job?
Yeah. I
Nice.
hated that. I hated work. I worked in a factory working shifts. I absolutely hated it.
What did you make in the factory?
I'm not supposed to say. It was
All right.
top secret military equipment, we'll put it that way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it on here.
Yeah.
I hated
So-
it though. I hated the shifts. It would be
Yeah.
like 1 week of getting up at 5 a.m, working till 2. And then the next week it'd be like 1 p.m. till 11 p.m.
So you would be in the studio outside of your
Oh man,
your job like
those
all the
after
time.
morning shifts, I really struggled because I was just so tired. But the afternoon shifts, I would get up at 7, work in the studio till 1 o'clock or whatever. Go to work till 11. Then I would finish work at 11, go home, be in the studio till 3, maybe 4. Get up at 7, do it again, do it every day. Like I would get up when Laura got up for work, because she would get up at 7. So it'd be like every day up at 7, work. That's how I wrote most of my music, like for night bass and whatever. And then there were times in work where, so I worked in this really this is bad. I worked in a separate room from everyone else because I tested stuff. And it's a good job I don't work there now telling this story. I would take my laptop in with an HDMI to VGA adapter thing and a pair of Sennheiser headphones. And then I would plug the mouse and keyboard into the laptop under the desk, connect the laptop to the monitor, so it looked like I was working, but I was actually on Cubase. So I would just be sitting there on Cubase for like 2 or 3 hours or whatever, doing whatever I needed to do, and then take it home and carry on working.
I think your story is really inspiring. Especially, I think people listening to this as well will be really inspired by the journey that you've had.
Yeah, I mean...
and I think you should really celebrate it. And, that's something to really...
Yeah, it is. And I don't really... This is, again... I wouldn't say I'm ungrateful because I'm not. I'm extremely grateful just to be even in the situation I am in life before doing this. Like, we're lucky we grew up where we grew up and we had the families and upbringings. I mean, I can't speak for both of you, but, I've had a sheltered life, really. Been looked after all my life. I've never had to struggle. I've never been homeless. I've never been in poverty. I wouldn't say I'm ungrateful now, but I'm just, like I said, I'm quite subdued. I'm not going to get super excited about. I will be on the inside. There's things like this collab I've got coming out on Mousetrap. I'm super excited about it, but I'm not gonna lose my mind and go wild.
Does it feel to you like you have a music career?
No.
Is that an issue? Yeah,
do you feel like that? Because
I do now, finally.
Yeah.
Because it's been so many years. And
but yours is very self-sustaining now. Like you've reached a level with Nightbase and what you do that, I mean, there's only upwards to go, you know what I mean?
But I still feel like I don't belong here. Like,
that's how I feel.
I'm not qualified.
Feel like,
what I mean? Yeah. So like, but it took me so long to be like, to say my career is I'm a musician or whatever. Do you feel like do you think that?
I have to keep telling myself.
You're still like working.
I have to keep telling myself that. Yeah. Like I'll get points like now I'm about to go and fly home and it'll take me like 20 hours to get home. And I'll be just sitting there, thinking like you do, just sitting, your mind wanders. And I'll just be thinking, you've got to keep telling yourself you deserve this. You've worked hard for this over, you say work hard. It isn't really work making music when you're starting out because you just love it. Even now I love it. It's not work. The work is obviously the traveling and the DJing for me. But I have to keep telling myself you deserve to be here,
Yeah, you do. And I think a lot of people feel the same way in
I think so.
Position as well.
Like you were just literally, Aaron, just saying that was how you feel like you don't belong. Do you feel like that?
I try not to define myself without getting too deep. I don't try and define myself as a DJ or a producer, even though that's what I do. I don't really think about it. Like try and kind of like don't separate myself from it. Yeah.
See, I honestly don't know what it would take to make me feel like I'm a part of this.
Yeah, I think it's like time. At least that's maybe what I think it was for me.
Yeah.
What I find really, really interesting about your journey is, people think, all right, I want to do music. I've got to go to like London or New York or LA and be a part of it. I was listening to how you kind of, the big steps that got you to where you are.
Yeah.
It was guys that you grew up with in your small town who gave you the Spain break.
Yeah.
And the guy you bumped into at Christmas.
James Bevan. Hello, James Bevan.
So
good lad.
It's so unique, I think, your journey, because you didn't go to the big city and rub elbows and socialize. You kind of, just from being in your small town and having distance, relationships. Yeah. It was like,
I think I'd probably be a lot further along now. But then at the same time,
but it like might not have happened.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not the sort of person who'd go to a city and would, like, I don't really like going to clubs.
Yeah.
Like I did when I was like 18 and stuff, when you first got into it. But now it's like being in a club has become so attached to working for me, like for being there to DJ, that I don't really. Plus, where I live, there's no clubs, so it's not like I'd have to travel for an hour minimum just to get to a club.
Yet you got your 2 breaks there, which is so crazy.
Nuts.
That is crazy. Yeah.
It is weird. I never really thought about that. Yeah.
It just goes to show you that like there's no right way
of
to
course
do
there
anything.
No.
You're touring with Deadmau5.
That's another thing. Yeah. This is where I don't really, subscribe to the whole hammer social media, because that's the only way to make it. Because it's not.
Yeah,
Good music speaks for itself if it's good enough.
I was going to say, I feel like you're an example of someone who has made great music and has got to where you've gotten just from real, just grinding and just putting out good music and staying consistent.
You just got, again, another thing, it took me a long time to learn to be true to myself and do this is where I'm not really worried about what music I'm making now, because playing it out's a different thing. I still get terrified of playing out my own songs. I don't know if anyone else gets that. I get terrified by it. But I don't really care what anyone else thinks of me now. Yeah. I used to worry about it a lot and try and fit in, but I think the best thing you can be is yourself, innit?
And I think when you lose those inhibitions, you can be a better artist.
Yeah.
Because you really just don't think about what people are, how people are perceiving you or your music. You can just kind of be carefree, you know?
Totally. Who really, at the end of the, I read something the other day, someone that said, you know, like, you can look at it two ways. Nobody gives a shit in a sad way, or nobody gives a shit, so do what you want. Because nobody gives a shit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's, you know. And I also think a lot of people don't really spend enough time working on their craft nowadays, you know.
I agree. Yeah.
I think it kind of has become where most people think it's like, right, let's just pick up Ableton, learn how to basically use it, grab a load of samples off Splice, that's it. Get good socials, done. Whereas I think if we had a bit more time put into these things, it's art at the end of the day. Art isn't a throwaway thing. It's something that should be cherished, and, you know, it should really be something of worth that you put out into the world. Again, that's another thing I took a long time to learn, because I put out a lot of stuff that I'm really shouldn't have put out and I'm not happy with, you know. I think we need to start treating it with a bit more respect, innit?
A bit more QA.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100% that. That's one thing Nightbase has been really good at. You've never compromised, you know? Mm-hmm. It's been what it is and what you say it is and what the original idea was, and it's done that consistently. Now, is it 6 years now?
Yeah, 6 years. I just want to keep it consistent, but I also want to evolve, but I want to do it naturally, organically.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's the way, yeah.
Yeah. It's just music I like. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's what it should
fits,
be, yeah.
especially music that fits into my DJ set.
Yeah.
And that's like the kind of brand.
Well, that's the ethos, isn't it? That's what it should be, though, because it's something you care about.
It's like, oh, this is a cool hip hop tune. Let me put this out. It doesn't make sense unless it's something.
Unless it fits. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless it fits with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I think a lot now, there's become quite a cycle of just churning stuff out. And especially labels like this, I don't mean to slag them off, but labels like Spinning have reached a point where it's like, let's release 100 songs and then we'll just see if one or two of them get picked up by something big or get somewhere big. And they've got deals in place with the artists where the artist isn't really very well looked after by these deals, let's say. So it becomes, to me, that's more of like a factory for putting out music rather than...
It's like the major label method.
Yeah.
Just throwing shit at the wall and see
some
if it
love
sticks.
into it and developing artists and allowing people to have a platform to actually be fully... I'm not trying to slate anyone's music that's on Spinning. I just don't know if it's... There's a lot of amazing music on there. Just to me, it isn't really the way I see music being. It isn't the way it should be to me. Because this is why did we all start doing this? Because you loved it. We didn't start doing it to... It's money, isn't it? Money just ruins everything.
I want to be famous.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
No, I mean...
You were
honestly,
Saved
though,
by the Bell, though, weren't you?
yeah. But I mean, my goal is to like make a living in like underground as possible and not be famous.
Don't compromise. Do something you love and make a living doing it. That's the dream. I think that's everyone's... Probably everyone on this planet would love to make a living from doing something they love to do.
The dream is to live in Wales, in the country.
I must say I couldn't live here. I couldn't live in a city.
Yeah.
It's not me at all.
Not on Spring Street.
But you're a bubble boy.
downtown.
You told me the other day.
Well,
you're
everyone's
bubble
here.
boy.
I am, bubble boy of Seinfeld. That'll be me. Literally.
Just stay 10 feet away from me.
I could probably live like that. I mean, I am virtual. I mean, if Laura didn't leave the house every day to, interact with the outside world, I reckon my immune system would have shut down by now. Because I spent the best part of a year in my studio last year. Pretty much the whole year just working in the studio.
Well, sounds like you got a lot more of that ahead of you with the album.
Yeah. But then I think I've See, I think up until I left work properly, I was making music at, say, like what I felt was 70% of my capacity, and then now I'm reaching 100%. I think I'm getting to a point where I'm fully. I don't think anyone's ever fully happy with. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm never fully happy with my music. I don't think anyone is. I think you always feel like you can learn more. But I'm reaching a point where I'm getting to. Yeah, I don't need to spend as much time in there now because I know. I don't know. I don't tend to just go in there now and just fiddle about. You know, like you
have like a more of a vision.
Yeah,
or
you have a direct idea, or you have something you need to do, like a remix you need to do, or whatever.
It's pretty awesome, man. Like I've, just sitting here talking to you about this and knowing you from years. It's kind of cool to watch your progression and see you mature as like someone who's like confident about his music. I know you say you're not, but I see it, even if you don't see it.
In a way, yeah. I like. There's things I listen to of mine and I love them. But it's the thing I'm really not confident with is playing out. You know what I mean? Like I get really, like if I play one of my own records and it doesn't go off, I'm like, oh Jesus, this is the worst. But I discount all the times I play someone else's record and it doesn't go off, because that doesn't make me think this is a bad song. It makes me think, why don't they like this as much as me? That's weird. It's weird that you don't think this is good when I think it's really good.
No, then you're like, I failed as a DJ.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Chose the wrong song at the wrong time.
Yeah. Rolling up near the end here.
Yeah.
A little over an hour.
Yeah, pleasure.
To get back to the
back to the land of the sheep.
Sunny Wales.
Yeah. Back to the land of consonants where everything's...
Do you speak a little bit?
Say some Welsh. Yeah. Give us some Welsh, man.
I spoke Welsh. You did learn it in school, but most of my parents are Geordies from Newcastle, so they're full on English. Okay. But Welsh is like the town names where I live will be like, so say it's a double L, that's a... So it'd be like Llandudno is a place name, and like a double D is a th. So it's like I don't even know any words that have got double D in it off the top of my head. But
what's that town that's like the longest?
Oh, Llanfairpwll Gwyngill, go get it. Yeah, that's not far from my house. That's like half an hour, 45 minutes from me, I think. But they're like this. Yeah, you got to look up this longest place name in Wales if you want to find out. It is massive.
What is it again?
Let me find it.
I mean, I've seen it, but I want to hear you say it.
I'll say it if I get it on my phone. Okay. But you'll have to just fill the dead air.
And the sign is amazing because it's so long. It's like so big. It's like so many letters. It's all, it's fascinating language.
That's part of the whole appeal.
Right, here we go.
Just the fucking sign.
Right, the place name is Llanfairpwll Gwyngill Gogerich Wyndrobwyllan Tysilio Goch.
Let me see the sign.
There's like 4. I think there's a bit where there's 4 L's in a row.
Yeah. So shout out to that city.
Yeah. City. There's probably about 25 people.
Shout out to that village.
Hamlet.
There you go.
Look at that sign.
Check that out.
So yeah, if you ever come to Wales, feel free to visit.
I'm going to come in for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Was it Earl Grey? Decaf.
I'm going to put this in the description of your episode.
Okay.
We'll just
But there's people like take pride in memorising that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that, isn't it? But it does translate to something like, hang on, there is a translation and it's ridiculously convoluted. Here we go. Welsh, it translates roughly as, Jesus Christ, it's like a paragraph. Right, translates as St. Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near a rapid whirlpool. And then there is more. Oh yeah, near the rapid whirlpool by St. Tysilio's of the Red Cave.
Sounds like a magical place.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Well, they did, weirdly enough, they did nearly film Lord of the Rings in Wales, but they chose New Zealand. I think that something to do with tax was better and the weather was better. But otherwise, they would have filmed it in Wales, where we live. I think Dr. Dolittle, that new Robert Downey Jr. thing, was filmed right near where I live.
Hollywood trivia.
Yeah. Well, I'm here.
So much good things coming out of Wales right now.
I know, mate. Sick.
Wales is on top, baby.
Yes, mate.
Jay, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah.
Wicked to see
you.
We really
Such a
appreciate
pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Looking forward to the album.
Yeah.
And we
next
wish
night,
you...
base EP first.
Seeing you again over here.
Yeah, I'll be back soon. Don't know when, but soon.
We'll have a good 20-hour journey.
Yeah, cheers,
home.
mate.
But thanks for coming, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
All right, that was episode 6 of Night Bass Energy with Jay Robinson. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, I'm AC Slater alongside my brother Sinden each and every time. Make sure you check out nightbass.info for all those past episodes and all things Night Bass. Until next time, keep up that good Night Bass energy.